which would you like to elaborate on?
First and foremost, actually, now we have quite a sizable audience right now. How many people in are actually, because not many states have taken it. I think Delhi was the second or third state to have taken up newborn first oxymetry screening for congenital heart disease. And it took us almost 8 years, 7, 8 years to convince Delhi government to put up this in our newborn screening panel. This was a major hurdle to start because there are a lot of conceptual challenges. But anybody doing in their own private hospital, in private their places, and yes, you are doing. Anybody else?
Yes, the fans are up, I think.
So yeah, we are good. At least now, because last year I was in Tirupati doing some AP NeoCon, and again the number of people who knew about it, who were doing it, was quite less. So though it is very, very simple to do it, and we are able to pick up very, very serious life. Obviously, the mortality can be reduced, and I think Vishnu and I think you are going to discuss about this. And this genetic modification in a country like ours, where a lot of centers, not all centers, but a lot of centers are very high load of birth. And there you have to, if you have to screen all the babies before discharge in postnatal wards at 24 to 48 hours, in fact 20 to 24 hours, what we in this Delhi model, it was difficult. So if you are doing 2 points, one at right upper limb and then at a right lower limb, any of the lower limbs, and then because sometimes baby is moving, baby is cold, and the readings are not coming. So for the collector to do even for 30 or 50 babies in that time was a challenge, because he had to do so many other things also: hearing screening, blood spot screening, visible birth defect, and filling up the data also. And so it was becoming a challenge. Using a Tennessee modification certainly can be a lifesaver for us, though we haven't started yet because we haven't got the go ahead with the government of to use this modification. But this certainly can be a game changer for us for practical purposes.
So this is a very important change, that instead of, and the right arm is very close to the neonate. The baby moves also very frequently. So using a foot will be much less problematic than using both. But then definitely there would be some loss of sensitivity. This is at a trade-off between sensitivity and specificity. So that's a good modification. So what should be the steps after the neonate is actually having a failed test, or which is positive or positive?
Once the baby fails the test or screen positive, we need to have a thorough clinical examination for signs of cardiac or respiratory distress. We need to, if you have an in-house facility, get the cardiac screening done with an echo and ECG. If you do not have the facility, arrange for the transport, sector an IV line, start prostaglandin infusion, supplement oxygen or ventilate if necessary. If the cardiac screen is positive, again, we'll go for specific management of the cardiac disease, if you have in-house facility. If not, again, arrange for transport and inform the referral center regarding the risk and the specific details of it. If the cardiac screen is negative, you need to rule out other causes of the screen positivity, like respiratory causes, do an ABG, routine blood investigations, and it's just explained. Again, more importantly, rule out sepsis.
So one very important message: add clinical examination. It's not like the US directly go ahead and do echocardiography. We know there are so many non-cardiac conditions that will be picked up, even sepsis for that matter. You may have a wide pulse pressure and you might have low saturations in the first 12 to 24 hours. So it's been seen in Kerala that the mortality, which was a double-digit mortality, that is at 13 for consecutive 8 years, came down to 6% only, single digit. 6 per thousand. That was the thing that came up with just one intervention, and that was adding critical congenital heart disease screening with its non-cardiac important features also. So I think that's a very important.
I think it was 10 years back when we started the Udyam project in Kerala.
Yeah. It was started in 2016, and the mortality before 2016 to mortality after that showed a 40% reduction in CCHD related deaths and 20% reduction in overall mortality of Kerala. Though people can do have some
Yeah,
attention
so
over
all
that, but
those
yeah.
antenatal, prenatal screened positive mothers were electively the government assisted, the NHM assisted to be delivered at the higher center. And the program, the Gadim included in handling the all cardiac surgery units for free surgeries to the baby.
So one very important message, the cardiac CTVS should have a neonatal equipped ICU. So because they're post-operatively, they're the ones who require elective ventilation, support, and possibly intact survival. The important thing is intact baby and intact survival. So yes, we do not have fetal depots routinely in our country. So and these congenital critical heart diseases have a variable prognosis. So Dr. Vishnu, what do you think are the ones that you would not be very hopeful with, but in some you would be extremely brilliant, oh, I'll be able to manage this baby, no issue.
So the management is basically like very simple in many conditions, like closing a ductus or opening a valve at the center of the aorta. But many others need multi-stage approach in their management. So the prognosis can be divided into good, fair, and poor. Many conditions like TGA with intact septum, obstructed TAPVC, pulmonary stenosis, all these need emergency, urgent attention and immediate management. So whereas truncus, unobstructed TAPVC, a large AP window, they need early intervention around 6 to 12 weeks. And again, all these also have really remarkable outcome. So, and many other conditions, like large VSDs, PDAs, all can go on for elective intervention at a later time. And the ones with tetralogy of fellow, we need to closely follow them up and might need interventions early in the period. But all others, like ventricular pathology, single ventricle with pulmonary hypertension, HLHS, and single ventricle with severe pulmonary disease, all these need multiple stage repairs, and many of them have poor outcome.
I think we have to go to a little rapid fire as suggested, looking at the time which is going in. So I think the biggest challenges faced, I'll summarize, have been convincing the government that people can be operated. This is practically possible, and these challenges have really been very important. So we move to the next important, Dr. Varun. Congenital hypothyroidism forms a template disorder, and in fact, all the countries which are doing newborn screening are definitely doing CH screening. So, by the criteria, why do you think it becomes the best template disorder?
Absolutely, ma'am. So, if there is any disease that needs to be screened, congenital hypothyroidism should be screened and it should be a part of it. It is quite a common disorder. Various studies have been done in the West, in our country as well. The incidence level is between 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 1,500. So quite common. And the screening test is easily available to us, is quite cheap, and is mostly accurate. We all know that the babies who have congenital hypothyroidism, they are majorly asymptomatic in the initial period. So it is better to diagnose them early. It is one of the most common preventable cause of mental retardation. So if you miss it, the baby is gone for life. So needs to be evaluated early, and then treatment of this particular disease is available to us. So why not screen it and start the treatment as soon as possible? It has been shown that the benefit of treating this disease is 10 times more than the cost of actually screening it. So it is a template disorder for which the screening should be done, and it has to be done.
So we definitely showed that just screen 4 positive babies with hypothyroidism could totally outweigh the cost of the entire program.
That's right.
Yes. So what is an urgent recall, and when should you immediately start treatment, and when should you wait?
So again, if there are telltale signs of congenital hypothyroidism that are present, for example, if there is open posterior fontanelle, there is protruded tongue, there is distended abdomen with umbilical hernia, or there are prolonged jaundice that is happening, we are suspecting that the baby might be suffering from congenital hypothyroidism. So he or she needs to be called immediately. Then, if the initial screening test that we did, it came out to be abnormal, whether there is high TSH values, that is more than 20, or there is high TSH along with low T4. So these babies are to be recalled immediately, and the next step should be done in these babies.
So right. So I think the urgent recalls are
So, sorry. So, we should, monitor three values, 20, 40 and 80. So, we should be knowing about these rules. If it is more than 80 at any point, then if a facility is available to us, we should do the radiographic scan, and we should start with the treatment as soon as possible. If the value, even if the scan is not available, we should not wait for it, we should start with the treatment. We will do the scans later on, I will tell you about that. If the range is between 40 to 80, that is more than 40, then it has to be repeated after 72 hours. If the initial range comes out to be, of the TSH comes out between 20 to 40, then the baby will be recalled. It can be done anytime between first to second week. And how to interpret these results? If the TSH is less than 20 in less than 2 weeks, or if the TSH is less than 10 in more than 2 weeks, then it has to be considered as normal. If at any given point of time that TSH is more than 20, the FT4 is low, the treatment has to be started. If the TSH is high with normal FT4, the TSH high means that even if more than 2 weeks it is more than 20, or more than 10 in more than 2 weeks, then we have to repeat the TSH after 2 weeks. If it continues to be more than 10 after 21 days, that is 3 weeks, then please start with the therapy.
Yeah, so I'll skip over the next question, because for all these babies, to check for permanence, you have to wait till 3 years, because
Yes.
99.9% of the brain growth occurs in 3 years, and only then can you dare to actually look at
That's true.
this.
That's
So,
true.
in interest of time, I'm skipping my slides and going directly to Dr. Goyal. Dr. Goyal, a lot of medical-legal issues are coming up, and we had one such medical-legal issue that congenital adrenal hyperplasia has no telltale signs in a male neonate, and it forms a very important part of core panel. So if you don't identify CAH, what are the issues that you think medico-legally would come over?
Madam, this is not only restricted to CAH. This is for all commonly diagnosed disorders. They have to be diagnosed properly in time, and the treatment has to be started properly immediately.
Right. So I think for all disorders for which treatment is available, food, even if it is food for special medical purposes, we have to identify it. In addition, this in 17 OHP also benefits a neonatologist to tell you how critical the baby is. He may not be in the range of for congenital adrenal hyperplasia, but high 17 OHP will tell you this baby you should not discharge very early from the nursery. So the expanded newborn screening is actually not screening for amino acids, fatty acids, and organic acids, and this is done by tandem mass spectrometry. So do you think the country, all sick care newborn units and NICUs should be doing expanded screening? We have got so many companies now doing it, and so many comments also wanting to do tandem mass spectrometry screening. So is it advisable universally or for sick care newborn units?
Yes, ma'am. Recently, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has approved the National Rare Disease Policy 2021. This was under the direction of the Delhi High Court, and the aim is to increase focus on indigenous research and local production of medicines, to lower the cost of the treatment of the rare diseases, and to screen the defect rare diseases earliest and leading to the presentations. This has to be done at the earliest, and these are the guidelines still, but there is no law to screen given by any agency right now in India.
So, I would definitely bring out here the National Rare Disease Policy covers the entire treatment up to a sum of 50 lakhs for any child who requires either one-time treatment of organ transplant or food for medical special purposes throughout the life. So, as Sir has rightly said, we don't have a law. We definitely need to have a law considering the long-term impact of these disorders. And what are the five common treatable disorders, which are hypothyroid, adrenal hyperplasia, G6PD deficiency, biotinidase deficiency, and galactosemia are so very easily treatable that this should be mandated as a law. And with this, I think we possibly have finished our time. And also, an important thing is that screening saves lives, and children are not crying for screening. So with the NRC,
Precision actually.
and one question
New
actually,
thing actually was about precision in newborn screening decision making. And the world is moving towards that only, with the genome sequencing next NGS to WES, which is whole exome sequencing, to whole genome sequencing. I think the world is moving towards that, and there are countries who are actually doing it also. And when is India going to start that?
Let us start at least thyroid, if nothing else, thyroid and point of care screening. And you know what has happened? What has happened? The cost of one nursery stay is say 20,000 to 50,000 per in one for one day, and the cost of whole genome is 40,000. So if you can give the genome in 24 to 48 hours, you can decide this baby requires rehabilitation, but this baby can be cured. And the cure is right there with you. So that is what is precision neonatology. And we are moving to precision neonatology. With this, I thank the audience and in numbers as well as apologize for not taking any questions from your side on the panel. Thank you.